Healing isn't something you chase, it's what happens when you stop running from yourself. Let that sink in for a moment. How often do we find ourselves in the endless cycle of seeking, searching for answers, for cures, for some magical solution that will make everything better? But here's the truth, the more you chase, the farther it seems to slip away. What if the key to healing isn't about doing more, but about being still? Picture this, you're standing at the edge of a lake. The water is perfectly still, reflecting the sky like a mirror, but as soon as you start splashing around, trying to clear the water or find something beneath it, the surface breaks, the clarity disappears. That's your mind, that's your soul. The harder you fight, the murkier things become. But when you stop, when you just let it be, the clarity returns on its own. Healing is like that still lake. It's already within you, but it can't surface while you're thrashing around, clinging to fear, anger, and resistance. Let go of the resistance. That's the secret most of us overlook. Resistance is the voice in your head that says, I'm not enough, I need fixing. Something is wrong with me, but what if nothing is wrong with you? What if everything you need is already inside you, just waiting for permission to emerge? Think about this when you cut your hand. Do you have to think about how to heal it? No, the body knows, cells regenerate, skin knits itself back together. The same is true on a deeper level. Emotional wounds, spiritual pain, they all begin to heal when you stop picking at them and simply allow the process to unfold. Here's a question, how much of your energy is spent resisting the present moment? When you're stressed, worried, or trying to control outcomes, you create a kind of internal turbulence. It's like driving with the brakes on. You can push as hard as you want, but you're only creating more friction, more wear and tear on yourself. What happens if you release the brakes? The car moves effortlessly. The same is true for your healing. Let go of the need to control every detail and watch how naturally alignment comes. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who desperately wanted to find peace. He traveled the world, met with wise teachers, studied every philosophy he could find, but peace eluded him. One day, an old monk told him, "Stop running, sit still." The man was confused, but decided to try it. Days turned into weeks, and he noticed something extraordinary. The peace he had been chasing was there all along, waiting for him to stop long enough to feel it. Isn't that powerful? The very act of chasing creates separation. The moment you stop, you allow alignment to happen naturally. Take a deep breath right now. Feel the air fill your lungs. That breath you just took, it's a gift. You didn't have to force it. Your body knew what to do. That's how healing works. It's an innate intelligence, a natural rhythm. When you let go, you step back into harmony with it. Let me ask you this, what if the pain, the illness, the struggle you're facing isn't your enemy? We often think healing means eliminating pain, but what if pain is just a messenger? What if it's trying to show you something about how you've been living, about the resistance you've been holding on to? Instead of fighting it, what happens when you listen? When you welcome it with curiosity instead of fear. Here's an example. Imagine you're holding a beach ball underwater. The harder you push it down, the more force it takes. Eventually, it slips out of your hands and rockets to the surface. That's what happens when you suppress emotions, ignore your inner voice, or deny your truth. The more you resist, the more the energy builds. But if you let go, the ball gently floats, the tension dissolves, and peace takes its place. Think of the people in your life who seem to radiate calm, who heal effortlessly, who seem untouched by life's chaos. They're not special. They've simply mastered the art of surrender. They've learned that healing happens when you get out of your own way. Ask yourself this, what am I holding on to that's keeping me from healing? Is it resentment? Fear? The belief that you're not worthy of feeling whole? Whatever it is, notice it, acknowledge it, and then let it go. Healing isn't about fixing, it's about allowing. It's about trusting that the same energy that keeps your heart beating, that turns seeds into forests, knows exactly how to restore you. Imagine you're floating down a river. You could fight the current, struggle against the flow, or you could relax and let it carry you. The river knows the way. Trust it. Trust life. Trust yourself. Because here's the ultimate truth, you are already whole. Healing isn't about becoming something new, it's about remembering who you are beneath the layers of doubt, fear, and resistance. Let go of those layers and watch your body, mind, and soul align effortlessly. And here's the best part: the moment you let go, the healing has already begun. The secret power isn't something you find, it's something you stop hiding from. Take a moment and let that sink in. How often do we look outside ourselves, searching for answers, for healing, for the one thing that will make us whole? But here's the truth: nothing outside of you can give you what you already are. Healing begins the moment you stop denying your true essence. Ask yourself this: who would you be if you weren't so busy pretending to be someone else? Imagine you're holding a beach ball underwater. You're using all your energy to keep it submerged because you're afraid of what might happen if you let it rise. That's what we do with our true selves. We push it down, cover it up, hide behind masks, roles, expectations. But the moment you let go, that ball doesn't just float, it rises with power effortlessly. Your true essence is like that. It's not lost, it's not broken, it's just waiting for you to stop resisting it. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman who spent years trying to heal. She saw doctors, therapists, spiritual teachers, but nothing worked. One day, her mentor asked her a simple question: what are you afraid people will see if you stop pretending? She broke down. The answer was buried deep inside her. She had been hiding her vulnerability, her pain, her true feelings because she thought they made her weak. But here's the twist: the very things she was hiding were the keys to her healing. What if the parts of you that you're most afraid of are the parts that hold your greatest power? You see, denial creates disconnection, and disconnection is the root of all suffering. When you deny who you are, your dreams, your emotions, your truth, you create a gap between your soul and your reality. That gap, it's where illness, stress, and unhappiness grow. Healing isn't about closing that gap, it's about realizing it was never real to begin with. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a flower trying to bloom. It doesn't look around for permission. It doesn't ask, am I good enough to grow? It simply reaches for the light, because that's what it's designed to do. You're the same. Your true essence is growth, expansion, healing, but only when you allow it. Let me ask you this: what part of yourself are you hiding right now? Is it the part that feels afraid? The part that feels unworthy? The part that's been told you're not enough? Whatever it is, stop running from it. Turn around, face it, and say, I see you. Because here's the secret: what you resist persists, but what you accept transforms. Think about this: when a river flows, it doesn't fight the rocks in its path. It doesn't try to bulldoze through them. It simply moves around them, effortlessly finding its way. Your true self works the same way. When you stop resisting the parts of you that feel uncomfortable, those parts stop being obstacles. They become stepping stones. Here's an example. Have you ever met someone who seems completely at peace with themselves? They're not trying to impress anyone. They're not hiding their flaws. They're just real. And you can feel it. That kind of energy doesn't come from perfection. It comes from authenticity. So why are we so afraid to be authentic? It's because we've been taught to fear our own power. We've been conditioned to believe that our worth is tied to what we achieve, how we look, or what others think of us. But none of that is real. Real power, the secret power, is already within you. It's the part of you that doesn't need validation. The part of you that knows deep down you're already whole. Think about it: when you were a child, you didn't question your worth. You didn't wake up wondering if you were good enough. You just were. You played, you laughed, you cried, you existed in your essence. Healing is about returning to that state, not by becoming someone new, but by remembering who you've always been. What if healing isn't about fixing yourself, but about seeing yourself clearly for the first time? Here's a practice you can try right now. Stand in front of a mirror. Look into your own eyes. Not at your face, not at your body, into your eyes. Say to yourself, I am enough exactly as I am. Watch what comes up. Does it feel uncomfortable? Good. That's your resistance rising to the surface. Don't fight it. Let it be there. The more you practice this, the more that resistance will fade. Because here's the truth: you're not broken. You've never been broken. You've just been hiding. Imagine this: you're walking through a dense forest carrying a heavy backpack, Inside that backpack are all the stories you've been told about who you are. You're not smart enough, you're too sensitive. You'll never succeed now. Picture yourself setting that backpack down, feel the weight lift. That's what it's like to stop hiding from your essence. Let me tell you another story. There was a man who spent his whole life trying to prove himself. He climbed every ladder, achieved every goal, but he still felt empty. One day he met a teacher who told him, "You're climbing the wrong mountain." The man was confused. He asked, "What do you mean?" The teacher replied, "The mountain you're climbing is built on other people's expectations. Your true mountain is within." That man's journey didn't begin until he stopped climbing and started listening to his own heart. What mountain are you climbing right now? Is it one you chose or one someone else told you to climb? Stop. Breathe. And ask yourself, what does my true essence want? Because when you stop hiding, you start healing. And when you start healing, you unlock a power you never knew you had. The power to live fully. The power to love deeply. The power to heal not just yourself, but everyone around you. The secret power isn't out there, it's in here. It's been here all along, waiting for you to stop running and simply come home. Stop replaying the stories that hurt you. Your mind is the stage. Choose a script that heals. Think about this. Every time you replay a painful memory, you're stepping into the same story, the same hurt, the same emotional wounds. It's like watching a movie you hate over and over again, expecting the ending to somehow change. But here's the truth, it won't. Not unless you rewrite the script. What if I told you that the story isn't controlling you? You're the one keeping it alive. Picture this, your mind is a projector, and the stories you replay are the reals. Every thought, every memory, every painful scene you relive, it's like you're feeding it energy, keeping it running. But what happens if you stop pressing play? What happens if you take that old, scratched up reel and replace it with a new one? A story that empowers you, heals you, uplifts you? Here's a secret: your past doesn't define you. Yes, it shaped you. Yes, it taught you, but it's not who you are. Who you are is the writer, not the character stuck in a single chapter. You have the power to rewrite the narrative at any moment. Let me share a story. There was a woman I met who couldn't stop replaying a betrayal from years ago. It consumed her. She would sit and think about every detail, every word, every look, and with it she would relive the pain. One day I asked her, "If this memory were a book, would you keep reading it?" She looked at me stunned. "No," she said. "I hate this story." And that's when it hit her she didn't have to keep reading it. She could close the book and write a new one. Let me ask you this: how many times have you rewritten your own pain into your present? It's easy to do. Someone hurt you, and now you see the world through that hurt. You expect betrayal, you expect disappointment. And guess what? Your mind is so powerful it will find evidence to prove you right. That's how stories work. They shape your reality. But here's the good news: the same mind that's been replaying the hurt can be used to create healing. Think about it. What would happen if, instead of replaying the betrayal, you rewrote it as a lesson? Instead of focusing on what went wrong, you focused on what you gained: the strength, the clarity, the courage to move forward. Suddenly, the same story has a new meaning. And that new meaning changes everything. Here's a simple truth: what you focus on expands. If you focus on the pain grows. But if you focus on the healing grows. It's like planting seeds. If you keep watering the weeds will thrive. But if you nurture the flowers, the beauty will bloom. What seeds are you watering right now? Your mind is like a stage, and you are the director. Every day you choose the cast, the script, the scenes that play out. If the same hurtful memories keep taking center stage, it's because you've allowed them to. But guess what? You can rewrite the roles. You can choose to cast hope instead of fear, love instead of resentment, peace instead of anger. Let me ask you this: if your life were a play, what kind of story would you want it to tell? You don't have to wait for someone else to change. You don't need an apology, a resolution, or closure to heal. Healing starts with a decision to stop replaying what hurt you and start creating what heals you. Here's an exercise I want you to try. Take one painful memory you've been holding on to, write it down exactly as you remember it. Then, underneath it, rewrite the story, not as a victim, but as a victor. Focus on what you learned, how you grew, the strength you found within yourself. When you rewrite the story, you reclaim your power. And here's the best part. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. Your brain is wired to adapt. When you stop feeding the old stories, they lose their grip. When you start creating new ones, your mind rewires itself around healing, around growth, around love. Think of it like a garden. At first, pulling out the weeds feels hard, but once the flowers begin to bloom, the beauty overtakes the pain. That's the power of choosing a script that heals. What if the healing you're looking for isn't out there, but right here in the stories you tell yourself? Remember, your past is a chapter, not the whole book. Stop replaying the pain. Rewrite the story. Your life is waiting. What if I told you that your greatest healer is silence? Not the kind of silence that feels empty or lonely. I'm talking about the kind of silence that is alive, powerful, and full of answers. The kind of silence where your mind quiets down and your soul finally has space to speak. Think about this. How often do you let silence into your life? For most of us, the answer is almost never. We fill every moment with noise, scrolling through social media, replaying conversations in our heads, worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. And then we wonder why we feel so disconnected, so out of balance. Here's the truth: healing doesn't happen in the noise, it happens in the stillness. Picture this: you're standing in the middle of a storm, winds howling, rain pouring down, you're shouting into the chaos, trying to make sense of it all. That's what it's like when you let doubt and fear take over your mind. But when the storm settles, when the noise fades, what's left? Clarity, peace. That's where healing begins. Now, ask yourself this: what would happen if you stopped listening to the noise of your doubts, fears, and worries? What if instead you turned inward and let the whispers of your inner wisdom guide you? Those whispers are always there, but you can't hear them until you turn the volume down on everything else. Let me tell you something incredible. Your body, your mind, your soul, they all know how to heal themselves. You don't have to force it. You just have to create the right environment. And that environment begins with silence. Think of silence as the fertile soil where healing grows. Imagine a garden. You plant seeds, but instead of letting them grow naturally, you keep digging them up, worrying they won't sprout. You water them too much. You overthink it. The seeds don't have a chance to thrive because you're interfering. Healing works the same way. The seeds of wellness are already planted within you, but you need to stop interfering. Silence is what allows those seeds to bloom. Here's a question for you. When was the last time you trusted the power of silence? We live in a world that teaches us to do more, to fix, to chase, to control. But silence doesn't ask for effort. It asks for surrender. It's the space where you stop doing and start being, and in that being, you discover something miraculous: you're not broken. You never were. The answers you've been searching for are already inside you, waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear them. Let me give you an example. There's a story about a monk who was asked how he maintained his inner peace. He smiled and said, "I listened." The person asking him was confused. Listen to what they asked. The monk replied to the silence, "It has all the answers." What if your silence holds the answers too? Think about this. When you're constantly in motion, when your mind is racing, you're like muddy water. You can't see anything clearly. But when you sit still, when you let the water settle, the clarity comes. That's the power of silence. Here's a challenge: sit with yourself in silence for just 5 minutes. No distractions, no phones, no thinking about your to-do list, just you and the quiet. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. You might notice thoughts popping up, doubts creeping in. That's okay. Let them come and then let them go. Because underneath all that mental chatter is the stillness where your healing lives. Now imagine this: your mind is like a room filled with clutter. Old fears, doubts, regrets, they're all piled up, leaving no space for anything new. Silence is the act of clearing that room. It's sweeping out what no longer serves you so you can make space for peace, for clarity, for healing. And here's the best part, you don't have to do this perfectly. Silence isn't about getting it right, it's about showing up. It's about saying, I'm willing to stop the noise and listen. Let me ask you this, what are you afraid you'll hear in the silence? Sometimes we avoid stillness because we're afraid of what it might reveal. But here's the thing, silence doesn't bring up anything to hurt you. It only brings up what needs to be healed. It's like shining a light into a dark room. The darkness isn't dangerous, it just needs to be seen so it can fade. Let me share something personal with you. There was a time in my life when I felt lost, overwhelmed, unsure of my next step. I tried everything, reading books, seeking advice, keeping myself busy, but nothing worked. And then one day I decided to sit in silence. No agenda, no expectations, just silence. At first it felt strange, my mind resisted, but then something amazing happened. In that stillness, I felt a sense of calm I hadn't felt in years. And with that calm came clarity. I realized the answers I had been chasing were already within me. What if the same is true for you? What if everything you need to heal, to grow, to thrive is already inside you, waiting for you to stop running, stop doubting, stop filling the space with noise? What if the most powerful thing you can do is to simply get quiet and listen? Here's the truth, silence isn't empty. It's full of wisdom. It's in the silence that you reconnect with your essence. You remember who you are beyond the noise, beyond the labels, beyond the fears. And in that remembering, healing happens naturally. So I'll leave you with this thought: the next time you feel overwhelmed, the next time the noise of doubt and fear takes over, stop, close your eyes, breathe, and let the silence do the work. Because your greatest healer isn't out there, it's within you. And it's waiting for you to listen. The power to heal is already in you. You don't need to search for it, earn it, or wait for it. It's there, right now. But here's the catch: healing doesn't happen when you're blocking the flow. What blocks the flow? Guilt, fear, judgment. Imagine this: you're holding a garden hose. Water is supposed to flow freely through it, but you've got a kink in the line. You're pulling harder, frustrated that no water is coming out. The harder you pull, the worse it gets. But what happens when you stop? When you take a moment, step back, and straighten the hose, the water rushes through effortlessly. That's what happens when you let go of the habits that block your inner healing. Guilt kinks the hose. Fear chokes the flow. Judgment shuts it down completely. But when you release them, the miracle unfolds. Let me ask you something. How often do you replay your mistakes in your mind? The things you said, the things you did, the things you didn't do, that's guilt. It's like carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go. But here's the truth: guilt serves no purpose other than keeping you stuck in the past. The moment you forgive yourself, you set the backpack down. And when you lighten your load, healing can finally step in. Take fear, for example. Fear is a thief. It steals your energy, your peace, your health. Think of fear as a dark room. You can't see what's in there, so your mind starts imagining the worst. But the moment you turn on the light, the fear dissolves. Healing is that light. And it's already inside you. All you have to do is stop feeding the darkness. Now, judgment, this one's tricky. Because we don't just judge others, we judge ourselves. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this. I'll never get better. These thoughts, they're walls. They block the flow of healing like a dam blocks a river. But here's the thing about a river: it's always looking for a way through. When you let go of judgment, even just a little, cracks start to form in the dam. The water begins to flow. What if I told you that healing isn't about adding something to your life, but subtracting what no longer serves you? Here's a story I love. A sculptor was asked how he created such beautiful works of art. He said, I don't create the statue. It's already inside the marble. I just chip away everything that isn't the masterpiece. Your healing works the same way. It's not about becoming something new. It's about chipping away guilt, fear, and judgment until your true self, the masterpiece, shines through. Think about the last time you truly felt at peace. Maybe it was a moment in nature, watching the ocean waves or listening to birds in the trees. In that moment, were you holding on to guilt? Were you gripped by fear? Were you judging yourself? No, you were just being. And in that state of being, healing happens naturally. Here's a practical exercise. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a flowing river. This river represents your energy, your health, your vitality. Now picture dropping a heavy rock guilt into the river. See how it disrupts the flow. Add another rock fear, then another judgment. Pretty soon the river is blocked. But what happens when you start removing the rocks one by one? The flow returns. The river moves effortlessly again. Now think about your own life. What are the rocks you've been carrying? Maybe it's guilt over something you said to a loved one. Maybe it's fear of what the future holds. Maybe it's judgment about your body, your choices, your worth. Whatever it is, you don't have to carry it anymore. Just let it go. Here's a truth you might not realize: the body knows how to heal itself. The mind knows how to find peace. The soul knows how to align. But these systems can't work if you're constantly interrupting them with resistance. Think about a wound on your skin. You don't have to do anything to make it heal. Your body just knows. But if you keep picking at it, if you don't give it the space to mend, the process gets delayed. The same is true for emotional and spiritual healing. Stop picking at the wound. Stop blocking the flow. And here's the beautiful part: you don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to know exactly how healing will happen. Your job isn't to control the process. Your job is to create the space for it to unfold. Ask yourself, what can I release today? Maybe it's the guilt that whispers, I should have done more. Maybe it's the fear that screams, what if I fail? Maybe it's the judgment that says, I'm not enough, whatever it is. Take a deep breath and let it go. Because here's the secret: healing isn't a destination. It's a return to what's already within you. The flow, the miracle, the power, it's been there all along. All you have to do is stop blocking it. Healing is not about adding anything new. It's about letting go of what doesn't serve you. Think about that for a second. How much of your life has been spent trying to fix, improve, or chase something external? But here's the truth: you don't need to add anything to yourself to heal. You simply need to let go of what's weighing you down. What if the power to heal has always been within you, waiting for you to stop clinging to pain, fear, and doubt? Picture this: you're carrying a backpack filled with heavy rocks. Every step feels harder, every hill steeper. But here's the thing: those rocks aren't part of you. They're the stories, the wounds, the beliefs you've picked up along the way. What happens if you stop for a moment and start letting go of those rocks? Suddenly you're lighter, you're free. That's what healing feels like. It's not about climbing harder or pushing through, it's about releasing what no longer serves you. Here's the secret: the pain you're holding on to isn't who you are. We often confuse our experiences with our identity. I am hurt, I am broken, I am broken, I am unworthy. But what if those are just passing clouds and you're the sky? The infinite, unchanging presence beneath it all. When you stop identifying with the pain and simply observe it, something shifts, the grip loosens, healing begins. Think about it: how much energy do we spend holding on to things that hurt us? Old grudges, past failures, regrets. We carry them like trophies, as if keeping them close somehow protects us. But here's the irony: clinging to pain only deepens the wound. It's like holding on to a burning coal, hoping it will keep someone else warm. Who gets burned? You do. Let me tell you a story. There's a man walking through a desert, clutching an empty water bottle. He's thirsty, desperate for relief, but he won't let go of the bottle because he believes it's the only way to quench his thirst. The problem is, the very thing he's holding on to is keeping him from finding the oasis. What if he just dropped it? What if he opened his hands and trusted the journey? Healing is like that. You can't receive what's waiting for you until you let go of what's holding you back. Here's a question for you: what are you holding on to right now that no longer serves you? Maybe it's a story you've told yourself for years: I'm not good enough, I'll never heal, this is just how life is. But what if that story isn't true? What if you could rewrite it starting today? Imagine your mind is like a garden. Every thought is a seed. What kind of seeds have you been planting? Are they seeds of fear, doubt, and pain? Or are they seeds of love, trust, and possibility? Here's the thing, you don't have to fix the entire garden in one day. Just start by pulling out the weeds, those old, limiting beliefs, and watch how quickly new growth begins. Here's a powerful truth: you can't force healing. Have you ever tried to force a wound to heal faster? The more you pick at it, the longer it takes. Healing isn't about doing more, it's about trusting the process. It's about surrendering to the natural intelligence within you. Your body knows how to heal. Your soul knows how to align. The only thing standing in the way is resistance. Take a moment and breathe. Right now, a deep, intentional breath. Do you feel that? That's life moving through you. That's the same power that keeps your heart beating, that turns the tide that blooms flowers in the spring. You don't have to force it. You don't have to chase it. It's already there. Healing is like that. It's not something you find, it's something you allow. Let me ask you this. What if the pain you're holding on to has already served its purpose? Think about it. Pain often comes to teach us something, to wake us up. But once the lesson is learned, holding on to the pain only keeps us stuck. It's like keeping a cast on after your bone has healed. The cast served you, but now it's time to let it go. What happens when you release it? You rediscover your strength, your freedom. Here's the beauty of letting go. When you release what no longer serves you, you create space for something greater. Imagine a closet packed full of old, outdated clothes. You can't add anything new because there's no room. But when you start clearing it out, suddenly there's space for something fresh, something vibrant. That's what happens when you let go of pain, resentment, and fear. You make room for love, for peace, for healing to flow effortlessly. Let me share a simple practice with you. The next time you feel overwhelmed, pause and ask yourself, what am I holding on to right now? Is this serving me? If the answer is no, imagine placing that thought, that feeling, that belief into a balloon and letting it float away. Watch it rise higher and higher until it disappears. Feel the lightness that follows. That's your natural state. That's who you truly are. Here's a final question to reflect on. What would your life look like if you stopped clinging to pain and started trusting your own infinite power? Because that power is already within you. It's not something you need to earn or search for. It's your birthright. Healing isn't about becoming something new. It's about remembering who you've been all along. It's about letting go of the noise, the distractions, the limitations, and coming home to yourself. And when you do that, when you finally let go, you'll discover something incredible. You were never broken. You were always whole. Thanks for joining me today. If you found value in this discussion, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more motivational content. Share your thoughts in the comments below.